Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to F.E.A.R 2. We found the secret elevator in the nurse's office taking us back down underground to some, I guess, new underground facility where Armacam is giving drugs and experimenting on kids, and seemingly only Alma ever really was a major success from that experiment. Otherwise, it opens up the door that there could have been a whole bunch of Almas running around instead of just one Alma. It does also imply, since we see her name on the board in several places, that they didn't have any school year apparently after that point, because why would you still have students' names on the board, particularly if you've taken the student and locked her into a sensory deprivation tank for like 10 years? Uh, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So they must have shut down the entire school, but then the school doesn't look like it was shut down, which honestly probably would have been creepier if the school had been just kind of abandoned. But then also, why would the elevator work? I also feel like, regardless of where we're going to end up underground, and sorry this is taking long to jump into the game, it feels like they could have had a level on a boat or a helicopter or plane, a larger plane, like a big jetliner, or even maybe you go crazy in a game like this and have kind of like a helicarrier from the Marvel universe. That would be very believable. We've seen armored base people and we've seen helicopters, so if there was this big reveal in the middle of the second game that, oh no, all those helicopters aren't just flying in from some army base somewhere, they're actually flying down from a floating fortress in the sky, at least you go up then. Or at the very least, we could have been on more rooftops, and we haven't done too much of that, and we've done definitely too much underground stuff. I guess at a certain level, underground lets it be dark, uh, and being underground then can be spookier. We're seeing more underground buildings. It definitely shows that. Here we can see they're fighting in a cutscene. And here you can see they are spying on the different camera angles of the same thing. We now see Snake Fist. So we can see she's a bad guy. And so you can kind of see the school. It's a little weird. Yeah, this kind of just feels like an. This really just feels like another underground facility with a lot of lockdown. Here's the microwave we saw in Genevieve's apartment. Yeah, they kind of underused the apartment. And we've got all kinds of computers and monitoring stations and more collectibles to collect. But it also kind of feels like we could be approaching the end of the game. We're getting more of the annoying fire alarm. Still building. And there's my stomach growling. Yeah, I think before we jump into any action here, I'm going to have to pause the video for a second. So now is as good of a time as any to do that, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. You know, it's a little weird here that we're getting threatened with being attacked by the army camp soldiers. They're kind of the weakest of the group of soldiers. There's much more fear of the replicant soldiers showing up. Like, frankly, we should just be done with the armor cam soldiers. And honestly, I wouldn't be super upset if we were kind of done with Snake Fist fairly quickly here, too. And then this feels like this is just a copy of the exact same board that was in the hospital a while ago. We are just trying to replace something, and here we have probably a programmer's childhood image as representing one of the kids. Unless this is supposed to be Becket, which once again we run into the issue of I'm not sure I believe that even though we are in Beckett's body, we would recognize that image because I think we are Point Man. But there's, I guess, some weirdness also in the fact that I've been just kind of following along the plot of the game. I haven't, as Point Man in Beckett's body, said anything or done anything differently. And at a certain point, if you're going to believe I'm Point Man in Beckett's body, you might as well believe I'm Alma in Beckett's body. So I'm thinking maybe I can hit some people if I prime grenades just a little bit. Just by one. But it does like create a scenario where I'm not really like wasting. I'm never really able to just throw a grenade. Like you're never gonna really be far enough away. I can't even throw a grenade. Am I out of grenades? I think I may actually be out of grenades. And of course I'm failing miserably here to implement any proximity mines or anything like that. I'm about to run out of bullets. Yeah, that didn't really work. I don't think we have like too many other things that we can even work with. We still have the way overpowered melee attacks. And the music stopped, so I guess that means we've done all we can. And so now we can waste a little bit of time. They really want us to go back to the submachine gun. It's kind of interesting that the lights came back on. But the submachine gun just doesn't work. It's way smarter to just be somewhat careful with your bullets and maybe use an alternate fire mode. We've got... It almost looked like there was a ladder there. But not really a lot to do here. Just going forward. So, yeah, instead of having a better system, they just have it so that you can at any point slow down time if you choose, and then run up to somebody, and they may at that point drop any kind of item that you might need. This is funny, these water fountains would have been better in the school, but they don't look like the traditional old water fountains you would expect. I guess there is a question here as far as should I switch over to a combat grenade. Are we going in circles here? Or did I come out this way? I I guess there was just 2 exits. Yeah. Okay. 2 exits. And apparently some gun bullets I didn't find. Lots of explosive things here that you could take on, but not really seeing anything different other than we see these drugs that, yeah, we're getting a decent amount of environmental storytelling here. This would be funny if I get deconned and then Alma can't spook me anymore. But I don't know if I really want environmental storytelling in this type of game with also having book elements. That seems slightly redundant. Also seems like they intentionally made this so you would walk around the decon, so you couldn't be deconned, which is feels like that's gonna be a thing. I see movement, but I'm not sure if I'm actually hitting the guy. There's some tweaking, to say the least, that needs to happen. Thought they were going to have us jump through this window. But no, they're going to have us walk through this window.
Sector 4 is in security lockdown.
It seems kind of silly to have the bluebirds, ladybugs, and all of that in the lab, but maybe that's supposed to be an mnemonic, or here we've got some testing facilities, or maybe it's a case that they actually did bring kids down here and then like erase their minds and or brainwashed them. Like, I guess they did, because here we have another school, people drawing mom. It would be very weird if I misunderstood the stories and this is actually a case where is a different kid with a different label, or the same kid with a different label, maybe. Kind of looked like the same picture. Yeah, there's all these different kids with different formulas and all different files in case you just don't get the story. But honestly, if somebody doesn't get the story at this point from the environmental storytelling, more environmental storytelling is just not going to help. They needed to have Snakefist just hop in there and do a few lines of dialogue just to say, hey, we did some horrible things. They did horrible experiments to the kids. That almost feels like an exit. And that definitely looks like an exit. Are they putting the kids in these containers? It might be. Considering project origin, cancellation, subject Alma Wade, age 8 years old. Yeah. Once again, she's like 8 when you see her as a kid, and then they lock her into this sensory deprivation tank because they can't kill her, apparently. I think is what happened in the first story. I really don't remember what happened in the first story, and they should have reminded us. There's no point to not getting this reminder told to me just directly to my face. You cannot miss it. You don't have to read. Phase 6 testing evaluation. See attached C2. Lab personnel destroyed by spontaneously generated fire that appears to have been generated by subject. Further testing on hold. Subject isolated in induced coma. So yeah, they put her in a coma, and that was phase 6. Phase 7 testing canceled per Harlan Wade. Subject deemed too dangerous and unstable to proceed. Recommendation containment. So they just put her in containment. And she grew up in containment as the creepy adult Alma, which then makes it questionable why. This feels a lot like the events of the first game where we started having to go down to certain areas and move certain crane objects to activate generators. That was a real last second add to the game. I bet there is not a real picture of a real kid for Alma, because that would be a little creepy, to say the least. Honestly, it seems like there's only 3 or 4 pictures of kids, and they're getting reused. And then we've got another underground area. This definitely feels much more like a multiplayer map than a real map, a linear map. That feels like that would be a lot to miss, so I'm thinking maybe down here is just some pickups. And then, yeah. There's basically nothing here. Except for that. I don't want to read all of this text, even though this is probably the point where reading the text is the right move. It could be that they wanted you to come down here so that somewhere around here you would find something. There's a collectible under this that would increase our reflex time, but there's no way to get to it at the moment. So we're going to have to turn the power on. Once we turn the power on, we're probably getting some kind of ghost thing happening. Yeah. The only other way I could feel like I might have misunderstood the story of the first game is that the young Alma is not actually Alma, it's Alma's daughter. But that doesn't make a lot of sense. Here we can see a general chair, and we're probably going to get the creepy doctors again, if I was to guess. And once everything is out of lockdown, then that's what's going to happen here. This does definitely feel like something that's trying to be more like a Bioshock or a System Shock level design, in the sense that there's multiple pathways and it's more of a interconnected web of knots. I hear sounds, but frankly, doesn't even matter. Let's look at our weapons. Do we even have something good? No. We can probably go to fire grenades and try that. Yeah, it's just a creepy doctors all over again, although they seem to maybe have some shock abilities now, which, okay. But they aren't really what I would say are what I would call replica soldiers, or replicant soldiers. And you'd almost think if they prefer this, is this just Snake Fist always? I guess maybe it is. If they prefer the dark, then you would kind of think that they would run away from the other areas. More than likely, this is the only thing that you really need to pick up. Just a reflex injector. And I wouldn't be surprised one bit if I actually did miss a, a pickup somewhere in this game, and this game's not good enough and it's just so old. It doesn't fall into that category where it would make sense to come back and try and play the game a second time to get achievements or even jump into specific levels. If it was really, really easy, if I could look up a walkthrough and the walkthrough would just tell me you have to just do this one thing and it's only going to take 5 minutes, sure. These definitely look like cages, but are they cages for lab animals or are they cages for humans? If they're cages for animals or humans, they're oddly open on one side.
I forgot to mention, be careful in the holding area. Genevieve opened the cells to buy herself time. The specimens are extremely dangerous.
Yeah, we knew that was happening. We've got feet and hands on the walls, which recontextualized that pretty much tells us that we now know that even when we were saying feet and hands on the walls, that may not have been a direct indication uh, of Alma putting the bloody footprints and hands on the wall. And if this were Bioshock 2, you would get into that unit yourself and gain some new abilities. I think that's what happens in Bioshock 2. It may very well happen in Bioshock 1, where you become a big daddy. It's hard to separate all the middle elements there apart between the two games. Well, this seems too easy. I probably shouldn't have picked up that armor, but whatever. Okay. Nope. There was a waste of a fire grenade. This is just a cutscene. It's just this guy.
That's what I need. Somebody kill this son of a bitch. Bury him.
See, like, as much as
Taking too goddamn long. Hurry it up.
he's just trying to, like, defeat you, these guys don't strike me as particularly useful enemies. They're taking me out because I'm doing a bad job here, and now I'm getting stuck on the ground. Alright, let's come back here. Let's bring out the hammerhead. Zoom in. And freeze time. Like one shot is all I could do. And apparently these guys are gonna need 2 shots. I'll admit the game got me there. Certainly. It made me think we were going one direction, and then it decided to go a very different direction as far as which weapons I probably should have enabled.
Get this fucking door open now. That's what I need. Somebody kill this son of a bitch. This is taking too goddamn long. Hurry it up.
Of course, trying to hit these guys is no easy task because of the mouse controls. Like that's much more hassle than it should have been to take out 4 or 5 guys, and that was using probably about 2 more grenades than I should have used. It definitely doesn't feel like the hammerhead gun, which is supposed to be a decent gun, is fully set and seated as the weapon to use. And the hammerhead gun doesn't really seem like it has a good auto fire ability. I'm just having to manually shoot. And even trying to knock those guys over now is not really working. Because if it takes 3 tries to melee a character, then the melee becomes fairly useless. This oddly is a game that probably established the idea of melee being a very useful thing that just kills in one hit. And now that's just become the standard solution to any time you have an AI that has been programmed to be particularly aggressive and run towards an enemy or towards the player character. There's so many things here that you could blow up, but you'd have to be incredibly quick on the shot to get to it. Like, because they're just never gonna be in the right place. And certainly they're playing up the stereotype of just the jerk boss character, who the jerk general, where honestly maybe having a nice general would just be a breath of fresh air in some of these stories. Then it might make these characters a little bit more relatable as far as why they're listening to the general in the first place, instead of just fragging them themselves. Which fragging is a phrase where you throw a live grenade into the tent of a bad general and accidentally quote unquote kill him because he's risking like the lives, or the soldiers think he's risking their lives through bad leadership. Yeah. And see what happens when you flip cover that way. Well, the body does not flip over, and I'm fairly certain they wanted the body to flip over there. That may just be a case of the physics at higher resolutions not working the same way they would normally. Or it could have been a case that this was a person who got blown up, but I don't know what would have even burnt his body if that was the case. I suppose that's an interesting thought. Let's waste a grenade here. When you use an incendiary grenade, it will burn a corpse, but it will not remove their armor and turn them into a burnt skeleton. Two, three. I just unlocked an award, Deadly Bullet, which maybe was killing 3 things in one time slowdown, or 4 characters in one time slowdown, by throwing a grenade primed right to the correct location, and then, or that could have been an award for simply just killing some number of people from a distant position, or it could also have been I've just used the hammerhead to kill a certain number of people. We will have to go back and look at the awards at the end of the game to see if there's a better understanding. we got another award for Stalker, which honestly, that might be the last award. That might be the last collectible. We could be very quickly approaching the end because we've got to fight somebody. Yeah, it's got to be the general and take him out, or Janine, or Snake Fist. We can't drag this on too many. We can't drag this on that long.
I've never seen anything like that.
They probably should have done more of this.
How's that door coming?
Might as well be using a liner, sir. This thing won't cut for shit.
Decontamination sequence in progress. Please stand by.
So
You must be hurting for some hurt.
I guess we're going to shoot him as soon as the decontamination stopped.
I'm looking forward to this.
Like the smartest move here
I got a little something for
is
you.
just this. But I
Go
can't.
ahead and open the door.
I can't
I'll
really
give you
do
a
that.
buckshot enema.
Like, because that's
I've been
just
eating
deadly.
lollipops like you since I was a little girl.
Alright, so they want me to open the chamber door. And then we immediately go into a cutscene. I like the up close to the face action. And I'm fighting back, and I kick him in the balls. And just tapping what would be the right click button, which is the left button. And it was really asking me to press this button a lot. And I don't know if this is because I'm not pressing the button fast enough, or if this is just scripted. They just want you to kick them in the balls maybe twice. But clearly we're just struggling for the gun. Where's the other guy that was supposed to be welding the door? He must be on the other side of the door. Oh man, I think it prompted me to use the left click right now. Oh man, so I've got to not only hit the left bump, and see the music just stopped, and I don't know if that means the game is going to be over. So I've got to struggle and get this under his chin with this cutscene, then pull the trigger. And the problem with that is it is like, this is not easy to do. So I think what we'll try to do is hopefully that they saved right before that point.
Come on. I got a little something.
I'm just going to use the mouse cursor, and we'll try that instead of
Go
the
ahead and open the
controller.
door. I'll give you a buckshot.
So right click, 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 fire, 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 fire. Shoot, I'm gonna blow his head off. That definitely makes a different experience with a mouse and keyboard than it did with the controller. They definitely had never thought that somebody would map those inputs to a controller. Not really a great quick time event even for mouse and keyboard though. And frankly, that should have just been a cutscene, because when I did it really fast, I didn't get an award, and when I did it really slow, I eventually failed and died. So that's an unsatisfactory boss fight, so I assume we're just going to now take on a creepy monster characters. Let's see. We probably don't need that. And we don't have a lot of incendiary grenades, but I do want to try them out.
Containment has been compromised.
Still don't feel like you're in a position where you would want to actually pick up. This feels very Resident Evil. I don't think you want the submachine gun. Here we've got some creepy naked guys, I guess to try and balance it out somewhat around the idea of the creepy naked girl. But honestly, if they were going to do that, feels like you should potentially just lob grenades under that. But yeah, this is just a straight up prison where they're keeping their experiments. And I feel like these doors are all going to open and we may get overwhelmed. There's a fairly large number. Is this guy dead? So, seems like in groups of 2, we're gonna have these guys appear. So these guys are gonna come kind of non-stop. Right. So yeah, and I think they're gonna come fairly non-stop until we've opened every door. Where is he? They move so fast. I kind of just need to stick my back to a wall and just let it happen. Yeah, we're getting little audio cues, seemingly when new doors are being opened. And I guess maybe they're just breaking out. And none of these guys are, I think, really gonna hand you with any pickups. Because why would they have any bullets or anything on them at all? We could go into the rooms and check, but I don't think we're gonna get anything from that. I think this is probably also a scenario where not every single door is gonna unlock, because that would be a little too obvious. So at this point we're kind of wandering around and seeing if something's going to trigger people to jump out, whether me walking to a certain location triggers people to jump out, or maybe there is a key or something to access. Like, this seems like a very different door. These guys don't seem like they come back alive. Alright, so where did the other one come from? Like, there's obviously another one. Otherwise, the time slowdown wouldn't have stopped. Would have stopped. Again, where's the other one? And see, I died, and that this puts us in a very weird position Now, where we might have to lower the difficulty so incredibly close to the end of the game. Like, I don't know how we are gonna really pull that one off. Well, we kind of know what we're doing. And we can come back this way. And... I feel like I have to take all these characters out. Let's try an idea here. Throw a grenade. Can we possibly get one just under here? Well, we've got mines. Let's try that. We have done nothing with proximity mines, so let's put one here. Let's put one here. Let's put one here. Where's the other guy? There we go. And then where is it hiding? It's over here. Proximity mines don't set off for me. Good. So we'll just wander around here and see how many other enemies we can just trigger to jump out. Not only do I have to fight these guys off, I have to also keep an eye on my health. And yeah, I think I've encouraged a lot of people to spawn now, which is going to speed up the process, sure, but maybe not for the better. Alright, getting beaten on here. This is another one of these cases where the mouse and keyboard experience is going to fairly widely differ from the experience you would have playing this. Alright, let's see. Can we lob something right about there and burn the people on the other side? Can we lob something through the window? Nope. We definitely can't do that. Alright, who else? I also can't get back this way. I was hoping to be able to pick up the health kit, but that's a no-go. So I guess the question then becomes, is there possibly something in one of these chambers. You can close the doors. I hear a guy. I see a guy. Theoretically, there's only as many people around here as there are chambers, but I wouldn't put it past the game to kind of cheat that and have some more show up in some other places too. This is probably about the best position you could be in. But do you really want to try and take out all these people? Or do you just call it a day and turn on the lights and move on? I think I've probably killed everybody. I'm not getting any more jumps. I wouldn't be surprised if in here we get another jump scare. Yeah, we override the lockdown. We get some fire incendiary grenades. Here we have a submachine gun that we can pick up. Over here we've got another door. Here we've got another submachine gun. And lockdown canceled, so I guess you're probably as safe as you're ever gonna be. And there's a path that direction. We have a very well lit path over here. For kind of no reason. We've got more chambers. Excuse me. A little bit of health dropped out of these guys. I guess maybe these guys despawn. So I guess the question is, what's behind here? Is this just a break room? Yep, it is. There's nothing in here in this room. Seemingly could never have been used. Here we get the flashlights not doing a great job of lighting up some areas, which might mean we are approaching the level where we're gonna see some creepy jump scares again. I feel like I very possibly could walk somewhere and trigger one more of these guys to spawn, but what would be the reason for it, really? There's just kind of no reason for it. It would waste bullets, wouldn't give me anything except for maybe an award. So, seems like we're gonna walk in here and get trapped by Genevieve. Possibly. And the music just straight up stops once we walk through the door, so very possibly there was no more people. Now we're just looking for health kits. We've got all kinds of submachine gun things. Which, if I picked up all the submachine guns, I would be at a decent amount of bullets. I've just compressed all of them into one gun. But I don't think that's what we want. An automatic shotgun. I guess the question is, do we want to get rid of something that we have here? 20 sniper rifles, which we very possibly will never use. for a shotgun. Honestly, if we were going to use a shotgun, we would have just used it in that section. I wouldn't be surprised if we never use it at all. And slowing down time and using sniper rifles seems more interesting to me. And we probably are approaching the end of the level. That's a weird visual effect. I don't know if that was supposed to be creepy or what. Find Snake Fist. Finally found him.
You made it! Man, I thought I was toast! I'm
And
Barry.
he's
Barry
like a
Alma,
fat hacker
aka
guy,
Snake Fist.
but I don't think anywhere as bad as the character in the first game.
Guess it was nothing. With Lieutenant Stokes' help, I was able to establish a link to the computer in your armored personnel carrier. I'm uploading all my files right now. We can go over them on the way. By the way, don't pick your nose. She's watching us on the security cameras. But you can't hear us, so you can call her whatever you want. Looks like the file transfer's done. We can take the
Interesting.
elevator in the main lobby, but we'll have to head through the holding area. I hope you took care of all the specimens. Uh-oh, that ain't good.
Here we have
Forces are pouring
Alien
into the
Wake,
facility. They must
or
be
maybe
converting
Alan
you until
Wake.
it's
I don't
excited.
think
You're becoming a magnet for
this
them.
company made Alan Wake.
I have something you might
The
want.
brain that wouldn't die
Grabbed it from the experimental
is another
weapons lab when the shit
collectible.
started flying. Which reminds me, have you ever seen a hippopotamus fight? They start crapping and wagging their tails really
Here we
fast
have
and shit just
critical
flies
mass. I
everywhere.
can't turn on the flashlight even.
Here we go.
Reefer
It's
Madness.
just a prototype, so it's a little quirky, but it packs quite a punch.
So he wants us to take an energy gun, where it feels like previously having an energy gun.
Now let's get the hell out of here.
Well, that was crazy. Get the telestatic amplifier. Alright, well, we've got like 5 shots, but I think they probably reload. Maybe, maybe not. May very well have just lost one of a very limited number of bullets. So yeah, when this game came out, this may have been indicators of them putting the creators of the game putting a self-insert character in the game and thinking they were really cool. The programmers thinking that. But honestly, he came off as kind of just a douche, for lack of a better term. And I don't mind one bit that he is now eliminated from the story and we don't have to deal with him anymore. And I guess we are just going to be taking out either replicant soldiers or whatever these are. I don't think there's anything new to grab over here. Be kind of silly if you'd taken the submachine gun at that level. Kill the guy while he's in the air. I guess it now somewhat makes sense why there was an extra area over here, because we're going to have people we can shoot and monsters at the same time. So they... Nope, nope, nope. Alright, we've got big problems here. Let's switch out of that gun. I am out of health at this level. I feel like I'm gonna have a hard time here. Let's see if we can possibly exit over into this area. And I just can't play cover-based shooting in this because that's just not gonna work. So I'm just hoping somebody somewhere dropped enough health kits for me to possibly get through this door. I guess I'm not even going back through this door. Alright, well, I am definitely not in a good position to take on the final boss. Or that big replicant soldier character, which probably isn't the final boss. Incendiary grenades. I should also switch over to frag grenades. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't get any proximity mines at all for the rest of the game. That I wouldn't be surprised one bit if that is the way this is all gonna play. I was not expecting any more of those. Now we go this way. They can save all they want, but unless the game is going to be really generous with its system. Yeah, unless the game is going to be very, very generous with its systems, I don't know how I survive this. And so then it comes down to how much health do you come out with when you load from your last save? Does it save you to where you were? It seems like it does. Okay, well then that puts you in a weird position, doesn't it? Like, that grenade did not seem like it really did what it was supposed to do. I'm really missing there. Uncrouch. Slow down time. Log in. Is there anybody else? Or are we maybe safe for half a second? You definitely see where the game has to cut you some slack, and they've programmed it to sort of do that, where they'll miss you a little bit more. They won't put that many people against you right next to a save point, which this also feels a lot like the morgue in Bioshock. I guess morgues really wouldn't feel that different in different games. This column and working around this square, there definitely was a point in Bioshock like that. I wonder if Bioshock just straight up stole some level design, because almost certainly Bioshock came out after this game. But yeah, it's not that unique to potentially have a column in the middle of a room. Can we see anybody else? Napalm cannon. Can't hold on to it. Don't have. You may notice I'm not trying to stop the time slowdown, even though we've expanded the time slowdown ability a lot. I'm instead using the extra time to either try and find someone else to target or to reload, which inherently it's putting a lot of this game behind the time slowdown mechanic, sort of in the same way that, well, Arkham Asylum was way worse with the detective mode, because you played almost all of the game in detective mode if you were looking for collectibles in Arkham Asylum. But it is the same concept. It's the same flawed concept visually that people, even to this day, often seem not to realize that it's not pretty, to say the least, to be in a different vision mode. In all fairness, this time, can you see? It's not too bad, but the flashlight interfering with your vision is a little bad, and I would still kind of prefer to be able to although the flashlight messes with your vision even when you're not in time slowdown mode. The only thing that really changes is you get this highlight that's helpful, but that's the same also for detective mode. Like, you got a nice visual highlight in detective mode of Arkham Asylum that pointed you where the enemies were. We know that there's some pickups we missed, and we're just kind of going back through the same level, which this is funny because that's not something we've done with any of the other levels in the game, so we kind of know we are like we kind of know that we're hitting that point where they've run out of new content. It's been quite a while for us to see Alma also, so that kind of stands out as odd. But I guess they're probably trying to make us forget she exists so that we can then be somewhat surprised when we see her come back into the story later on. See, I don't know if there's reason to come back this far, unless there was some med kit I missed. Some health packs, sure, but no med kit. And that wasn't actually too much of a side journey. Here we've got the guy's head and a med kit, and that seems like all we're gonna get. So we may just be somewhat doomed to a big battle here. We're seeing ghosts of people jumping down here. We are... Okay. So he is sometimes the ghost. So it's an invisibility ability. It's not... They were never ghosts. Or at least in this case, it's not ghosts. So these are the shockers that we had in the first game that would jump around. They're making a return in a new form as being a little bit more invisible and a little bit crazier to deal with. We are just straight back to the hospital. Yeah, what can I say? I don't like it. This is a weird, like, glass morphing. I don't like that we seemingly are just back to the hospital from being in the military area, underground area. I don't like that they were just repeating things. We've got water that oddly ripples when on the wall. It would never ripple like that. That's applying water physics vertically in a really bad way. Maybe this is just going to be an elevator and take us to the armor cam building, no? And maybe that's all there is to it. And I guess we are keeping this gun, which has 9 shots, for the next day. And I have like no bullets here, so I need to think about running around and swapping this gun out. There's no point in holding on to a gun when we're about to go to a new level. I may not have an option though. There may literally not be another gun here. Let's see what happens if we go back this way. Nope, that door is locked. So the only gun that even makes sense to use is the hammerhead. You'd think that they'd put something here, just like a pistol or submachine gun. But nope. And I guess maybe I only needed 1 med kit because that was not that hard. This guy is super floppy. Anybody else around? Nope. Okay. Objective complete. Return through the... I don't know what that said, but whatever. I think we are probably close to the end here. It's been, about an hour and 5 minutes. Yeah, we're either going to see an Alma jump scare, or we are just going to get to the APC, and that's going to be the end of this level. Yes, I think we are back to the... Like, we're back in the school. The door is blocked. I don't know if I really want to see. Well, we've got to swap something, so automatic shotgun it is. Although I think we will just use the hammer gun to get through the rest of this. This just gets back to, is Alma finally going to reveal like her history here, or are we not going to get any kind of jump scare at all, or are we just going to have more environmental storytelling? There's that's our guys. So I can't even shoot them. It is still possible that... I guess now the question is, do I want the automatic shotgun over this? I want it, but I have very, very few bullets.
Into the APC, Becket. We gotta go.
We have live green, and we are in a different place. Yeah, this is not where we started. It's still possible that we're dreaming up all of these people still being alive.
We're good, Manny. Punch it.
I'm surprised Keegan survived.
There was nothing you could have done.
I'm surprised Stokes still alive.
Data. The son of a bitch was true to his word. He gave us more than enough to sink Armacam forever. Assuming we survive long enough.
Yeah. So you assume in F.E.A.R 3, Armacam is gone. Or on the run at the very least. Snakefist is dead, killed by replica assassin. His real name was Terry Halford, a staff member working for Genevieve Aristad on Project Harbinger. Before he died, he urged you to go to Still Island. Did he say that? I wasn't even paying attention. And use the telesthetic amplifier there to destroy Alma. So I guess that's what we're doing. They're not saying that's like it says they urged you to do that. That doesn't mean that's what they plan on doing. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Stokes and Keegan and Becket all just got together and said, hey, well, let's just abandon this mission. Because our only real goal was to extract Genevieve Aristad. We've not made any progress at all towards that. She's running away from us. The situation is incredibly, incredibly hot. I would say just stay in the APC and drive to the outskirts of town as fast as you can would probably be the better move. Not really a lot to say about that level. It's just repeating all the hits, seeing a little bit of the school, but not really, not too much. Just enough to remind you that it was insane in the fact that you went through a school for an entire level, then you went underground under the school, and then you were back in an underground facility again, which really just kind of looked like a military facility / maybe factory. And then you went through that entire level, and then you exited through the school again. But so many of the 3D assets and so many of the enemies were just same old things that we'd seen at least once before. Inherently, when you see the design of games, particularly big AAA games, they always feel the need that they have to repeat themselves and say the same thing at the beginning that they say at the end. It's almost like a like the musicals by Andrew Lloyd Webber, in the fact that almost every Andrew Lloyd Webber has a song at the beginning, and then you'll get a different version of the song at the end if it's a decent song. And then if it's a really good song, you may have a melody or a third, fourth, fifth time that song is sung at the very end of the game, of the musical, not the game. And yeah, that's a lot of repetitive content for a musical. It's a lot of repetitive content for a game. Musicals, it kind of works because at worst you're sitting through a musical for 3, maybe 4 hours at most, where a video game you're sitting through potentially 60 to 200 hours of gameplay. Also, I would say there's probably a lot more polish in a musical song than there is in any single enemy design. It seems like the easiest tweak you could have made to this previous level would have been to introduce the invisible assassins a lot earlier and have them pop up over and over again. Maybe spend the first half of the level having you think there is only one that exists, and then reveal that there's actually two, in, and then reveal there's like 3 or 4 of them running around. And then you just realize that there's a bunch of them, and they get deadlier in groups. And then you maybe eliminate the experiments because they only played a part in that one room, and they could have easily been in the previous level, just crawling around the school, and that would have also worked very well if the school was abandoned. Or you eliminate a lot of the soldiers. This was a really, really long level as far as what you did, because you killed the general, you killed tons of his men's, you killed probably some replicant soldiers, but maybe not. Maybe they're trying to establish that replicant soldiers specifically are only the ghostly characters and not the humanoid characters. I don't think that's the case, though. I think in previous levels they have had replicant soldiers look humanoid and attack people. The school level had a bunch of those puppet master characters, and you could easily have done a swap where instead of having 2 or 3 of the puppet masters in the school, you could have had one puppet master in this level and one invisible character in the previous. Mix it up some more. Dangerously, this makes it feel like that we aren't anywhere close to the end of the game, and I would be a little upset about that. Remember, we've got DLC too, so like I kind of want to play the DLC, but I'm not sure I'm going to be in the best mood if this takes another 5 hours to beat the game, because even though the visuals have been majorly improved and everything else, just because it's a newer game, F.E.A.R 2 still is very, very repetitive, and repetition is not their friend. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.